everybody, and welcome to The View, an Uncoiled podcast hosted by the Uncoiled creators. My name is Anushka. Today, I'm joined by Aditi, and we are so happy to start off season 1, redefining with episode 1. Today, we are talking about clothes and how it impacts us, and maybe there's some toxicity involved, but you decide. I think today's episode is just something that we've been meaning to do, and we're so happy to just finally do it. So I want to start from like, what does clothing mean to us? Yeah, just what has clothing meant for you?
Clothing is known as a form of expression for most, and that's quite the same with me. But when I say form of expression, I do mean the clothes you wear at moments describes your mood. The colors you wear sometimes describes you. But when you're growing up, clothes can mean not much for a lot of people. Then it is just a covering since when we're growing up, we share a lot of clothes with our siblings. That is, again, if you do have siblings. And if you're the younger sibling, you know that you're wearing matching attires with your older sibling. It's always a thing.
But for me, clothing is just like, as you said, it has just been like it's it's always been a form of expression. It was since I was young. I used to decide who I wanted to be that day. Did I want to be like the rock star? Because Frozen had just come out, and Let It Go was my jam back then, and I could sing the entire song. And I used to sing a lot. But it was just like a way for me to get into character, if that makes sense. Even though I was just being myself, it was a way to get into character, wear bright colors when I was
Yeah.
happy, wear dull colors when I was like, nah, today's not my day. But it's just been a very big form of expression, like throughout the years, not just like since I was young. But I think it also just like gave me a sense of freedom, wherein my mother like never overlooked what I wore, and that kind of like made me happy in a way and made me creative in a way, because I used to wear the most ridiculous shit on this planet, the most ridiculous clothing, with that bowl haircut that I think every Indian kid has when they're younger, and then just one pair of jeans and that one T-shirt that I wore in
Yeah.
Malaysia for like the whole trip. And every picture I have is with that one shirt and those one pair of jeans. But I think it was just nice overall in general. And yeah, I think that's, oh yeah,
I think at least like 90%
at
of
least. And
Indian
I
kids
think you
had
had it
like
for like a
the
consecutive,
haircut,
like
like it
until
was
you were
a
in like
mix of Jim
second grade and you
Halpert
were
and
allowed to grow
Dora.
your hair out.
Everybody had it at least
Because
one
I think
point.
that is when
It's like
I
the
understood that you can
cut.
grow your hair out. Because like I didn't, like I was just that tomboy. I looked like a guy, like a small boy when I was growing up. But now, how has it like changed for us growing up? Because like Aditi and I are both in high school. We're proud to say that we're not failing our exams anymore. Um,
Hopefully.
but what do you think that has looked like for us?
As you grow up, there are so many different influences you can get. You get influenced very easily, but when it comes to like clothing and fashion, definitely a large part is what people around you are wearing and what people are wearing on the TV shows and the artists you like are
Mm-hmm.
wearing. Those are how you influence yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
clothing does become
Yeah.
less. It is still a form of expression. You get influenced so much.
What do you think is like, because in India here we wear a lot of, I think there's no school, I think there is no school that does not have a uniform here. What do you think it has, do you think it's like good to wear a uniform in school and not have to like, what are your views on like that uniform culture?
Uniforms are fine. They do take up a lot of. They're not the most comfortable attire, to be honest.
Yeah.
They,
To
especially
say
for
the least.
girls, yeah, especially for girls, a bunch of schools have pinafores and the shirts that go under the pinafores, and they can get really uncomfortable, especially in the summers when you do not want to wear
Oh
like
God.
layers over layers.
Like, I kid you not, like since the time we were young, what the things that we had to wear were like a shirt underneath, a pinafore on top that was heavy material, right? That's not like just like a flowy summer dress. It's like
It's
heavy
like
material, and
heavy.
then you have a belt on top of that. It's heavy. And then if some schools want a tie with it, you have to wear a tie.
And you have
So
like the
basically, in winters,
shorts
we did not
under
wear
all of
jackets
it.
or sweaters at all.
You have like shorts under
Yeah,
the
and
whole
then you have to
thing.
wear shorts under all of. And then, schools kind of like go for color more than comfort. So, like,
Yeah.
if they found a material that was like the perfect color, but not the perfect material, they would rather choose, they would rather go for the color than the comfort kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think for men, it's been easy. Like, for boys, it's so
It's a
easy. Just like
shirt and
one shirt,
pant.
one pair of pants, done.
That's it for
It's a
them.
shirt and pants. And
Some
that's
schools
it. We're not saying that, like, yeah,
some schools do have
that's,
shirts
that's,
and
that's
pants
good
for
to point out.
women too, for girls too, but
But
not all of them.
that's like really rare
That's very
on a
rare.
daily basis kind of a thing. I think every country has their own way of doing that, but like the best thing about uniforms is that the it clears out the social status thing, because obviously when you're wearing a uniform, everybody looks the same, and it's the you don't really understand what kind of a background the other person is coming from, which is really good because you have to go through a lot of bullying as it is. And how do you think that's like helped us in any way, like wearing uniforms or something like that?
It does take out a lot of the stress when it comes to like outfits, especially the fact that for us it's
Yeah,
like, will they remember what outfit we've worn and everything? So it takes that stress
yeah,
off of it. And it's not even a big deal. Like nobody really cares what you wear to those days. You're allowed to wear civil to
yeah.
school,
Nobody really does.
but you still like worried. Like, will they remember what I've worn? Will they comment on it?
Yeah,
You always think that.
like, but I think like in the bullying era, I think people just found other things to bully about. I don't know if that makes sense,
There were so many other
but
things to
like
bully about
if
for
it's
them.
not,
Yeah, people are
yeah,
very
but
creative when it comes to that.
um,
If it's not clothes, it's something or the other.
I just don't understand. People are not creative when it comes to their projects, but they are very creative when it comes to bullying someone. Um, yeah, that's just that's the end of it. I think, but however, like, do you think it's helped with insecurities? I
I
don't
think to
think
a
so.
certain level.
No.
Like I think to a certain
Yeah, to
level
a
because
certain level.
you're not worried about it being your own clothes, because after a point you're not
Yeah.
going to wear this outfit ever again. Like, it's sad, but you're
And
not going to wear
like,
it.
yeah, and you when we're talking about that, it also we need to also realize, how do you think has it like, do you think it has taken a negative turn, like the whole clothing industry in general?
Clothing industry has definitely taken a negative turn. So let's talk very quickly about the fat tax. So if you don't know what the fat tax is, it's basically clothes that are over a certain size come for a different price.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that.
Oh God.
So I have an older sister who is much smaller in size to me compared to me. So when we buy the same outfit or the same dress, for an example, the prices are different. Okay, there isn't a huge difference, like isn't hundreds and thousands, but it definitely is a difference because if you count all of our outfits together, mine is going to be of a much higher cost than hers is. Clothing stores and the clothing industry in itself believes that when you're above a certain size, you're going to need a different type of clothing, which in some cases is not completely true. All the clothing that they sell, all, and by when I say all, I mean like 98%, let's say, of those outfits are always going to be extremely loose, not body hugging, not figure hugging at all. So it's not going to be extremely flattering on you, it's just going to sit on you, which doesn't give a lot when it comes to talking about clothing as a form of expression. So there's definitely a lot to unpack there. But if you're talking about outfits, yes, I do agree there is a part of us that will not like to show our figures or our body. And I understand that part. But what about the days that you do want to do that? What about the days that you do want to wear a dress that fits you like a glove, that fits your body, that feels almost tailored to you? Would you do that time? Because you're going to have to pay way more to get a dress that is actually tailor made to you. So there is so much that is wrong with that. But also there are the stores that are only for above a certain size, like that, so sell clothes only above L or an XL, and those are plus size stores which again don't have the most affordable clothing.
So it's like it's a whole thing in general. Like affordability needs to meet with customer just yeah customer satisfaction. That has to meet with just prices in general. And I think this is just like stereotypical behavior. How many plus size models do you see in a brand? I think very less. Like there are such less amount of plus size models, and brands are so I don't know what to say, but like they're so negligent towards just every size, every body shape, and every body type. And they are so much more, yeah, and they're so much
Exactly.
more focused on,
There aren't a lot of companies who can represent everyone of every phase of
yeah.
life either. They cannot do that, but there are some companies who have tried and are
Hmm.
successful to a certain level to be able to represent not just a certain part of the community but a
Yeah,
community as a
because
whole.
I think right now
And even
your main concern is if you're going to find like that particular shirt in your size. Your problem is not that your problem is not if it looks good or if it would express you in some kind of a way. The problem is if it would just even if they would even have it in your size, right? So like expression goes to hell. Expression and freedom goes to hell when
yeah,
it like
and
comes to
these
that.
sizes, yeah. And these sizes were made specifically for consumer convenience.
Yeah.
These sizes were made so that it was easier when you
Mm,
walk into a store, you wouldn't have to
yeah.
recheck over like multiple times to see if that fit you. You would just know what size you already are. But now it's become a
Yeah.
measurement. Like
Or if you're
if
an
you are
L,
an L, your
yeah.
next goal is to become an M or to become an S, and that is fine if you want to. And if you
Where is
want to
that
change your
coming
body, that
from?
is extremely fine. That's
Yeah.
up to
Where is that
you. It is
coming
your
from?
body. But people should feel pressured.
Maybe,
Yeah, because people are going to feel pressured because of all these things around us that are like you need to be of a certain size and look a certain way so that you're more socially acceptable, which is not true.
yeah. Or even like just imagine if you have a favorite brand. If you have a favorite brand and that brand only sells like medium to small clothing things, and you really like the brand, you really like what they're putting out, you really enjoy their clothes and like looking at them, but they just don't have that in your size. That puts another set of just like problems on your shoulders, wherein you're like, how does that even work? It's
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 not
just
only problems,
constant.
it's also so
Yeah,
many insecurities just piling away on you.
yeah. Like, and that is why like clothing should be a form of expression, but like throughout the decade what has happened is like it has taken a negative toll, because not just because like companies and brands are failing and providing for everyone, but it's also there's something new coming out every single time. And there's just like you're constantly trying to fit into something. You're constantly trying to fit into some sort of a vision. But I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I Aditya and I would both agree on this, that media and the entertainment industry and shows and movies and just entertainment in general has a lot to do with just insecurities in clothing, and them taking a negative turn.
A lot of movies and TV shows, especially when they want to show a transition of the
Yeah.
main character or the protagonist or even the love interest, all of the transitions always go from the hair being up to the hair going down, from wearing glasses to wearing no glasses, from a full like bare face to a makeup filled face. And these just go on to point out insecurities for more and more people. It doesn't help with, like, if you are who you are, it's better. No, it's like, okay, you might want to change yourself for this person, or you might want to change yourself for that person, or you might want to cover this up because they might not appreciate it, which isn't always true.
There's just lack of diversity, I would feel, I think, in that center. And then you feel as if when you're watching those things from the outside in, you feel that everybody is thin, everybody is everybody fits a small, everybody, is supposed to look this certain way, and when
and
you
you
compare yourself
assume
to
that that is
that.
a s- and you assume that that is an achievable standard when it is
Yeah,
not. And we
when it
fail
is
to
not.
realize that they have way more resources than we do. They have more hours in
Absolutely.
the day to work on their body than we do. They have more professionals working on and behind them to give this attainable almost body, which is just not
Yeah,
true. Because, well, we're high school students, we're studying for a majority of the day, and we do not
absolutely.
have time to be like, I don't like the way my body looks, I should probably change it for a person who probably is not even interested in us. Not
Yeah,
that you should
yeah.
actually change your body for somebody who might or may not be interested in you.
And then you get these dumb ideas in your mind that if I, lose this amount of certain weight, if I look in a certain way, if I, get wear this certain type of
And
dress or something, that
there is again a difference between losing weight and changing your body for yourself and
yeah,
doing it for someone else. So if you
absolutely.
are willing, if you are working out, if you are eating a certain way to look a certain way, if you're doing that for your health, for your well-being,
Then that's
it's
brilliant.
kudos to you.
Yeah,
You should do that. But if you're willing to change the way you eat, the way you drink for somebody who is just has no
yeah. If
opinion
it's for
of you
someone
in the
else,
moment, it doesn't make
yeah.
sense.
It's not just that it doesn't make sense, but I think at the end of the day, we are going to be unhappy if we do that, because
Yeah.
we are expecting something from someone when we should be expecting things from ourselves. We should be expecting that love from ourselves. We should be. And this is what I figured out. Like, I started doing yoga like a year ago after, like in lockdown. And what it has done for me is like, it literally like shifted my mental state and my physical state of being. But right now, I don't care how my body looks, because I know that it's able to do those postures. It's able to do so much for me. And it's not about if you're doing it or if you're not doing it. It's not about losing the weight. It's about why you're doing it. And if the why is coming because you want to do it, and it's because you want to, make a change and do it for yourself, then that's obviously going to make you happy at the end of the day. But if you are trying to do it for someone else, and because people expect something from you, I think that is when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then again, these standards, even in not just talking about Hollywood, but like Indian movies and Bollywood, is it's a complete mess, to say the least.
They do. Okay, Indian movies have a different standard altogether. They are quite
Yeah,
different from Hollywood movies. They're much more dramatic, they're much more filmy, as we call it.
yeah,
But they also have the added factor of the item song, which
yeah.
is builds up, again, not just insecurities, but it's also very insulting and demeaning if you actually think about it.
For everybody who's not Indian and who does not know what item songs are, so item songs are basically, um, just imagine a dance bar or something where you're drinking, you're having fun, and then this woman's just dancing. She's looking sexy as hell, but then it's sexualizing women. The whole song is just sexualizing women. And if you just pick up the lyrics of any one item song, you realize how insulting it is for the women. We are watching those things, and you don't think much about it. When you're watching it, you don't think much about it. But then when you start thinking about the lyrics, about the clothes, about whatever, it just makes no goddamn sense. Like, it just does
Even
not
if you
make
try to
any
like
sense.
translate the lyrics to
um
English,
and
they
that
just get
just makes,
worse.
yeah,
It gets worse from
it
there.
just gets worse from there. And you know what that is doing is that is just adding on so much toxicity in Indian women. Like you are, it's, you're setting, making a standard, you're saying that this is how it should be. Everybody is different, every person is different, everybody feels left out, everybody feels as if they're not doing enough for themselves. And then that just brings on a whole set of insecurities. Have you ever seen a hairy leg in a movie? That's my question.
Nope.
I have never seen a hairy leg. I think men who have chest hair, who have hair on their body are like so good looking when it comes to their standards. And females, when they have hair,
Yeah.
I don't know, we are like gorillas or
Nope.
something to them. Because let me be honest, but I've always had the insecurity of body hair. And I've always tried covering it, tried removing it, tried doing so much with myself because I just did not see someone who I could relate to in that area. There was just no one I could see and be like, okay, this woman has body hair, I'm going to have body hair, and I'm not going to be ashamed
There
of
is
that.
not, it's, they say it's for hygienic reasons, but it's just a part of it that goes out to hygiene. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
It's quite normal. If you're not comfortable with it, of course you should go on and remove it. But it's not like it's a bad thing either. It's not as bad as people put it
yeah,
out to be.
and that's yeah, that's it. Like, what I, the influencing culture is just shifting. And I think it's just more toxic than ever for me. Like, every time I wear something, I have to think twice before wearing it. And that just kind of creates like this bad mental habit. And just in general, like, women are set to such a different standard than men. Like, I don't think men are expected to do anything. Yes, men are expected to do some things because we're not going to neglect. Yeah, we believe in equality here. This is not all about females, but in general, I think like women are set to such a high standard when it comes to just clothing, how they should look, how um in movies and entertainment industry mostly,
Yeah.
I would say it's just getting worse and
Especially when
worse.
you talk about like the musical industry, women are expected to dress a certain way,
Yeah,
perform certain routines, and on a lot of award shows, of course, men are supposed to dress a certain way too for them and everything. But if you talk about just the award shows that happen, we fail to realize that the female artists who come there have sat hours to get their hair and makeup done, have sat hours to get have picked out an outfit that by the looks of it doesn't look the most comfortable, and have rehearsed a routine multiple
yeah,
times so that they can dance perfectly,
and they're singing
and they're
while doing
singing
it.
while doing it.
They are dancing and they're singing. Like, imagine the stamina that it would take to
But
do
men, on
that.
the other hand, they can
Imagine that.
wear a suit, or for their own personal concerts, skinny jeans and a t shirt will give them a free
Yeah.
pass. That's it.
This is, we need to understand what we are talking about is not about just how difficult it is for women, because when you have to agree that at some level it is, but we are also talking about the consumer mentality, the receiver's mentality. I think we have conditioned society in a way wherein when women do more, we find them more successful or more
Yeah.
worthy. And, on the other hand, men are not expected to do half of it.
We've conditioned our minds to be like women have to work harder. And it's become such a
Yeah,
way
women
that
have to
people just
work harder.
assume women are going to work harder, so they don't expect that much out of you, which it doesn't make quite
Yeah, and
sense.
then you are constantly proving yourself. You're constantly trying to prove
This
yourself.
isn't to say that men this isn't to
That
say that
sucks.
men do not have problems and they do not have struggles, but let's be honest here, women's struggles do, they take a lot out of you. Even talking about them, you can understand how difficult
Yeah.
it might be for them to live up to a certain standard. If they go out
Hmm.
tomorrow without any makeup, without any without their hair groomed perfectly, they're going to be on a cover of a magazine. Yeah, they're going to be on a cover of a magazine, either calling them musty or like tired or something, or it's going to be, oh, look how brave they are for not wearing makeup.
Or
They're not brave, they're just
yeah,
more comfortable. It's
like
different.
yeah. Because just imagine, I think Billie Eilish got
Yes.
dragged down for this a lot,
Yeah.
which was so stupid, so stupid. You are basically talking about a 17, 18-year-old teenager who is just creating music, who is just loving what she's doing, and then you drag her down for, changing or whatever for what she's wearing
There
or
is
how
no
she's
winning
dressed
in her
outside,
case. She
which
wears
sucks.
baggy clothes. She's not,
Yeah,
she's labeled a bunch of
because she
things.
feels
But
comfortable.
on the cover of magazines, when she's
Yeah.
wearing corsets, again, labels, labels, and labels. Multiple labels. There was a video that,
Like, why are we trying to categorize
and
women
why do
so
we have to
much?
choose for her? Why do
If,
we care?
yeah, she gets it. And why do we even have to write about these things? Why do we, who gives us the permission to drag down a 17, 18
Exactly.
year old teenager? Nobody. And I think like media does that. It's just toxic because I was reading a couple of articles the other day, and all of them had one thing in common, that the word bold. So it was just like this actor shared bold pictures, and the word bold was basically it was basically B star LD or BO star LD. So like basically when you write curses, you kind of like black out some of the between letters, and that's what they were doing. And I was like, now you're telling me that the word bold has a different meaning, which is completely different. And when you look at what images these women have shared, they are just beautiful. There's nothing, there's nothing bold about, like, there is something bold about them, but there's not something bold in
Exactly.
a cursing
Uh-huh.
way. Like the way they use that word is just, it's so dumb and
The
so stupid. And it
the
just,
the entertainment industry in itself does not use outfits and clothes as a form of expression on a large scale. They
yeah.
call it a form of expression. They say that these styles are eccentric and this is blah blah blah. This person is expressing themselves through their clothes. Why are you criticizing their expressions then? Because it's not like you're not criticizing them. You are.
Yeah, because you are
Yeah,
at the end of the
and it
day
doesn't
writing
matter how
about those
old they
things.
are either.
And then why is
It
there no
doesn't matter how
diversity towards
old
them?
they are, it doesn't matter
And
how they are or anything. If they're 16, they're sexualized by the media as quickly as that. Artists
yeah,
that start,
if you
artists
wear
that
a
even
short
start as
dress,
minors are
yeah,
sexualized
if you
so
wear a short,
easily for just singing. And no, they're
yeah,
not always in control of the outfits they wear. Some are just pre picked for them, they're pre
no.
chosen for them. And yes, they might fit them, but it's not like it fits their personality.
At the end of the day, we need to understand that these are teenagers who are trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to create music that everybody likes. There is already so much pressure on them to just create and share their art and share their work. And then, what are we doing to help these people? We're not doing anything. All we're doing is criticizing. We're just making their lives miserable, and that shouldn't be the case at all. And I think like the clothing scenario changes as you go from, like, I don't want to say it's from the west to the east, but it does shift from, like, first world countries, second world countries, and third world countries a lot. Um,
It does.
it does, because there's a huge gap between what's trendy, what's fast fashion, what's like eccentric, and what's good, and what is practical and convenient for people in for
A
people
lot
from
of the
everywhere.
fashion choices and norms we have in second and third world countries also root from safety perspective.
Okay, let's dive deep into that, because some of the norms that we hear a lot are, don't wear short clothes, cover your thighs, don't show your belly, don't wear crop tops, even sleeves.
Oh
People
yeah,
have such a beef here with sleeves. I don't know why. Like every school you go to,
some
and
schools don't allow sleeveless.
yeah, and
Like
obviously,
sleeveless is
okay,
not
that's fine.
allowed in our
But
school.
why, this also brings up a question, that why are women supposed to change so much of their clothing? Have you heard about those cases wherein like high school teenagers wear a certain dress, and that does not fit their dress code, but it's because men might watch, or it's because guys might stare, or because
Yeah,
guys might feel uncomfortable. You are basically telling women to change themselves for
yeah,
men, when men are not changing their mentalities and their way of looking and their way of, just that dirty look that I think
yeah.
everyone has got.
At least
I think
once.
every woman in India has got that dirty look at
I
least
think it's not
once.
just India. Like everywhere, everyone has had at least one person give them like the look, and it makes you feel so scared in the moment. In that moment, you're like, okay, I want to leave. I need to leave like right now. And
Yeah.
it's not
And
just about safety; it's also about like the asking for it. That has become it's so toxic, and it is absolutely disgusting to begin with, and you cannot violate a certain person and be like they were asking for it. They're never asking for it. It's nobody's asking for it ever. Nobody is asking to be treated and to be abused and be like it's because of the clothes I was wearing. It's not. You just
yeah,
assumed that because somebody was wearing a certain dress they were asking for it. Don't
yeah.
assume. And if they say no,
And I think
I think you can get the hint.
it ties so much with the culture also, because let's just talk
Yeah.
about India for a second, right? We wear saris over here. So saris are just like a form of draping your body with like huge, I think it's
It's
five
quite
meters or
long.
6 meter long cloth. Yeah, Google it. But saris, you wear blouses, you basically show half of your back and half of your torso in that. And those are acceptable choices of clothes. Those are acceptable things to wear. Whereas if you wear a kurta and some leggings, a kurta is basically like a long form of a
Yeah,
top,
it's
I would
quite
say.
long.
Like it comes down,
It
yeah,
depends
goes
on
above
which
your
types you
knees.
wear, but
Yeah,
yeah, they're pretty long compared to
yeah,
t-shirts.
yeah, they're pretty long, and they don't show your torso, they don't show a lot of your back as well. And those are considered non-acceptable here. So like if in the village I'm wearing a sari, people will praise me. If I'm a married woman who's wearing a sari, people will praise me. And if I am a married woman wearing a kurta that is showing so much less of my body, I am criticized because I'm a married woman and I should wear a sari. And that also comes from the mentality that old is gold. you know this
Yep.
backward kind of mentality that people have is like, I think it's also, it comes from like being scared of moving into the future, and then it comes in with thinking that the past was good. But then what they don't realize is that time is going, right? Time is moving, time is going to move
Yeah.
constantly, and that there's no option when it comes to that. And like you have to move forward with time instead of going backwards. And let's talk about safety, because I have a beef when it comes to safety. Because I was watching this one video the other day, and it was basically telling how the word protecting and the word safety, or just protecting in general, is so toxic for women. Because you have you know there's this kind of like thing in families nowadays where you like have to
Yeah.
protect your sister, right? But what they are not understanding is like, who are you protecting them from? Right? You're protecting them from society, correct? Then why don't you change your mindsets? Why do you think that that a daughter should be protected, instead of teaching your son that it's this is
Exactly.
not the right thing to do, or because there's so many cases like that. Like in India, when there's been a couple of rape cases that have gone so big in the country, and people have been seeking justice for those things from
Yes.
ages, and this happens everywhere. This is not just, yeah, this is not just like centric to one country. This happens everywhere. But it's not that women are asking for it. If a woman is wearing certain thing, if a woman is wearing something, it's not because she's asking for it. It's not because she's asking you to abuse her. This
I
is
think
just
people
your
just
mentality.
assume
And
so much and they're like, she was like asking for it. She's not asking for it. The no's are no's. So just, if a no is a no, you can't do anything of it. You can't change it to a yes.
yeah, and I have gone through that. I've gone through like the public abuse of that. And I was like traveling through so what is it called? I was traveling through the local trains, and somebody just grabbed me from behind, and I was just wearing my school uniform. It's that is when you
Yeah.
understand it's not about the clothes. It's not about the clothes. It's just the stupid mentality. I kid you not. I've talked to my sister, my mother about this as well, and half of the women have gone through that. Half of them have gone through that public abuse, that silent
Yeah.
abuse that women go through in general, which sucks. And like we're talking about clothes here, right? And imagine we started talking about clothes, and it just shifted so much, and that really shows what clothes mean.
No one.
If the world goes backwards, if the thinking of the world goes backwards, and if patriarchy takes over,
Yeah.
nobody is going to suffer more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
women. Nobody in their right mind is going to suffer more than and women and the LGBTQ community. These two communities are going to suffer so much, and that is why I think we need to do a better job at influencing. We need to do a better job at changing these norms, changing the dress codes. Let people be uncomfortable, but it's a woman's choice what she wants to wear, right? And she should not have to choose between being safe
It is
and
not a
expressing
choice, but
herself.
we've made it a choice now. It's you're either safe or you're expressing yourself. And that's not a fair choice.
Yeah, that's not a fair choice at all. What do you think we can do like to empower women? Because this is something I feel like empowering yourself with clothes is less about the clothes. What do you think we can do like to empower women? Because this is something I feel, when you are trying to empower women, when you're trying to empower women, and when you're trying to empower LGBTQ communities or any minority communities, don't judge them because of their clothes. Give them a free space of mind. Spare them from the norms, the stereotypical gazes, the abuse. Spare them from that, and then you see how women shine, and then how communities
Exactly.
shine, and how everybody in the world gets to just
Let women
have a
feel
place.
safe. It's that simple. Clothes mean a lot.
Yeah,
Clothes mean a
let
lot.
women
For
feel
you
safe.
tomorrow, even
Clothes
for
mean
me
a
for that
lot.
matter, if I wear a black top and jeans outside, half the people will not think of it, and half the people will have judgments ready to go. It doesn't matter what I wear. It doesn't matter how I look, how my hair is. There is always going to be judgment, but we don't realize how much judgment can bring somebody down. Just looking at someone in a certain way can make you feel so insecure already. This happens to a lot of people, regardless of their gender, regardless of their orientation. It just is that way. If you look at me a certain way when I'm in public, I'm going to have a sense of doubt about the way I look, the way I'm speaking, the way I am moving around, if I'm being myself or not. It inflicts upon so much of stress and anxiety, and it is honestly just unnecessary stress and anxiety, to say the least.
Because this is not allowing people to like pursue what they want to pursue, or like go into field, just like this is not giving them overall freedom in countries. This is not freedom because you have to think every single second about how I might look, or just think about the people judging me, and think about the, yeah, just think about all of that. When in truth, there are bigger problems today, and we need to start redefining what clothes mean. We need to start redefining what our community's thoughts on clothes mean. We need to shut up the Karens. We need to shut up the aunties. We need to stop
We
fat
need to
shaming
stop.
people. We need to stop body shaming people, and we need to stop shaming ourselves. I think that's the biggest one. I think a lot of it comes from the outside, but the 10%, if 90% of criticism and judgment comes from the outside, I think 10% is something that you indulge yourself in, and that 10% could save you if you become confident, and if you become empowered with that 10%, you can literally kick the whole 90% aside.
We are our own worst critiques, but there is so much we like criticize ourselves
Yeah,
about that isn't true. We look at ourselves every single day, so we don't realize how uh, unique we might be. But other people do realize that people you haven't seen in a long time might realize that, because you do change every single day. You aren't the same every single day. But we have just trained ourselves to be like, no, I looked better yesterday than I did today. But yesterday I felt that I looked better day before than I did.
yeah.
And it's just a vicious cycle, an extremely vicious cycle.
It's just a vicious cycle that you put. I have put myself down that rabbit
Multiple
hole
times.
way too many times now. And I think I'm coming to a point where I'm just like stepping up for myself, and just realizing and being grateful for what I'm given and for the body that I'm given. Like, I'm capable of pushing out children, people. I can push out 10 children in my whole entire
Yeah.
lifetime. And that's a big achievement if I choose to do it and if I go there. But it's just about stopping and rethinking for yourself. It's stopping and rethinking for yourself. And I think, what would you say for like the Karens out there, the aunties out there? Because a lot of judgment and criticism comes from women. There's this quote that says that a woman is a woman's biggest enemy,
Yeah.
which should change
We should.
in whatever context that is, whether it's in clothes, that's in like careers, whatever it is. I think that needs to change. A woman should be a woman's biggest supporter and a biggest just
Yeah.
well
Yeah,
wisher.
and when you look at it, a lot of this judgment comes from our own insecurities. Like, if you look at somebody and you see your same insecurity in them, you're very quick to point it out. Like, and I'm assuming that's the same for like all the
Yeah,
Karens and the aunties out there as well. Like, they have a certain
yeah, because they
amount
were
of,
insecure and nobody told them
and
then,
nobody
right?
told them it was
Nobody
okay to
told
have
them to look at.
insecurities, that it was okay to
Yeah,
feel insecure at a certain time. But they're like, okay, if I didn't feel insecure, you will feel insecure. I mean, because I did
that
even.
tit for tat mentality that women have needs to stop because it's just putting
Yeah,
other
you should
females
do
down.
whatever you want to
And
do.
I feel like when we talk about yeah, do whatever you
Whatever
want to do,
floats your
whatever
boat.
you feel comfortable in, right? Because whatever floats your boat, women, whatever you feel good in doing, whatever this is not just for females, this is for every single gender, this is for everybody, and it's that's it. Whatever floats your boat, just do it because that's what's going to matter at the end of the day.